Hi circuit riders, welcome back to the channel. I realized that sometimes I don't always say hello or introduce ourselves. I just kind of launch into my videos and I assume that everybody is following along. Well, if you're new to our channel, welcome. I'm so glad you found us. I'm Lisa, my husband is Jason, and we have been full-timing in our Van Lee Volano for almost 2 years now, about 1 year and 9 months. And we have just arrived in Southern California, which I'm so excited about. We've been wintering in the Southwest this year, and this is my first time visiting Southern California. Jason has been here before for business trips, but I am so excited to be spending the next month here in this beautiful sunshine and exploring all of these places that I've been dreaming about. Now, we have just checked into Palm Springs RV Resort, which is 1,000 Trails, but it's actually not in Palm Springs, it's in Palm Desert, about half an hour down the road from Palm Springs. But anyway, we are having a great time, and welcome to our show. Going for a little late afternoon walk at the Coachella Valley Preserve outside of Palm Desert, and these palm trees are so cool. I don't know what they're called, but normally I think the fronds of palm trees kind of fall off, and that's what makes this kind of bark, like on a regular palm tree. But these trees look like the fronds just fall over and die, and then they don't fall off, so it makes this kind of shaggy covering to the trunk. That is very beautiful. Now, it says we're walking along the San Andreas Fault here, and there are a bunch of aquifers under the ground, which I think is like bubbling up water from underground, and that's why all this green and vegetation is here in this area. All around here is just kind of dirt and rock piles like we've experienced in other places in the Southwest, but there's a bunch of little wet oases in this area because of the aquifers underground. One of the beauties of this lifestyle is that you can even take a business call out on a beautiful hike. So if you've been watching us for a while, you know that we love to do geocaching, and I try to get one in every state. Well, I didn't have one for California, so I went on the app the other day and I was looking to see where I might get one that was close by. And there is one hidden right in our RV park. Palm Springs 1,000 Trails has one on the map, so I'm gonna go hunting for it. That is so cute. So fun. That was a really cute one, little RV. And now every time I get a new one in a new state, I get this little souvenir on geocaching.com that helps me keep track of all the states and even other countries that I've collected.
Meep meep. Meep meep.
We're just out for a late afternoon walk in downtown Palm Springs. So again, our campground is in Palm Desert, about half an hour from here, so we haven't actually been downtown yet. I came down because I wanted to see the Walk of the Stars. Now, you know in Hollywood they've got the stars on the pavement with different actors' names in them. Well, they have a similar thing in Palm Springs for celebrities who used to live here in the town. And so I'm interested to see if I recognize any of the names, because a lot of them are not famous actors. They're humanitarians or authors or people in the television industry, things like that. So we'll show you whoever we see that I personally have heard of. And also GPS My City, which I haven't used for a while, but it's an app that I love to use to do walking tours of bigger cities. It has a old celebrity homes tour, walking tour of Palm Springs, of like, you know, historical movie stars that used to have homes here. And so we'll see what we can see. Probably a lot of them are behind gates or not visible, but if there's anything interesting, we'll show you. So why did Palm Springs spring up as a celebrity hideaway in the mid-1900s anyway? Well, in addition to being a beautiful oasis in the desert, when actors were under contract to movie studios, like they were in the early 20th century, there was clauses in the contracts that said that actors had to be within driving distance of the studios, which normally meant 2 to 3 hours. So Palm Springs is a 2-hour drive from Hollywood. And also several movies and TV shows were filmed in Palm Springs because it's out of the city and it's a beautiful part of the desert. So this was just a natural place for movie and TV stars to gravitate to for vacation homes. Here's the first house, and again, you can't quite see it behind the gate, but Liberace reportedly died at this house in 1987. This is Elizabeth Taylor's house, and it actually can be rented out nightly or as a wedding venue. This area of the city where these houses are is called the Las Palmas neighborhood, and it is so quiet and beautiful back here. What a lovely evening walk. This is Dean Martin's mid-century home, but it actually looks like it's being remodeled now. There's a lot of plywood in the windows. The GPS My City article says that Dean Martin was one of the later celebrities to move to the Palm Springs area, and he was one of the last celebrities to get a mid-century modern house done by George and Robert Alexander. It was a father and son architect team, and this was one of the last houses they built before they both died in a plane crash. So this is special that Dean Martin got one of their last houses. Jason was just saying, it does kind of still have a mid-century feel here. You can, this kind of style of fence and the low bungalow ranches is kind of reminiscent of the 30s and 40s and 50s. Beautifully landscaped here. This house with the pink trim is Elvis's honeymoon hideaway. This was where Elvis and Priscilla Presley spent the first year of their marriage in 1966. You used to be able to take tours of this house, but I believe it's closed now. There's signs here that say private property. And right across the backyard from Elvis's house is this house that was once rented by Marilyn Monroe. She didn't own it, but she did rent it at one point. Look at this cute mailbox. Look at the view from this vacant lot. The last house here, as it's getting dark, is Peter Lawford's house. He was one of the Rat Pack along with Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. and Dean Martin, and he was also the brother-in-law of John F. Kennedy, and he reportedly introduced JFK to Marilyn Monroe in 1954, who, as we know, just lived a few blocks away. So it's getting dark and we are getting hungry, so we're gonna go find some dinner, and maybe we'll come back this weekend and do another little walk for some more homes. A non-home stop on the Palm Springs Celebrity Tour. The Purple Room is a supper club that was a popular Rat Pack location in the 60s. Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin and all of them would come out here and hang out. And this still is decorated like a retro 60s hotel. Very cool. This is another house that Liberace owned before the one we saw earlier. This very distinctive pink house in the Little Tuscany neighborhood of Palm Springs belonged to Jack Benny and his wife in the late 60s. I've always thought it was interesting that Jack Benny and Lucille Ball were next door neighbors in Beverly Hills during the 60s and 70s. Lucy also has a house here in Palm Springs, but not in this neighborhood. We'll drive by that in a little bit. This is another Elvis Presley estate. He and Priscilla bought this house in 1970, so a few years after the honeymoon house. And what's interesting to me is that he bought this house from Dick McDonald, who was the co-founder of the McDonald's restaurants. And this house is also sometimes called Graceland West. And here's Lucille Ball's house, which they call locally the Lucy House. You can't see much of it because of these big hedges, but Desi Arnaz reportedly won the land for this house in a poker game, probably in the 40s, and then they built a house on it in the early 50s. Another Rat Packer, Frank Sinatra. I normally wouldn't walk up to people's door like this, but they've got the historical marker plaque way up by the front gate, so I'm just walking up to see the plaque. And for the last house on our Palm Springs tour, the estate of Cary Grant, and you can see the CG on his gate here. He is my very favorite classic Hollywood celebrity, so I'm so excited to see his home here. Look, their little mailbox is a reproduction of the house with its white stucco walls and Spanish tile roof. You know, the city of Palm Springs has done an excellent job of retaining the retro feel here. Everywhere you go here in all the neighborhoods and even in the downtown shopping area is just a feel of the classic Hollywood era, 40s, 50s, and 60s. I really love how they have maintained that feel here in the city. wanted to share some thoughts on this Thousand Trails Palm Springs Park before we take off. We've been here for a couple of weeks now, and we're leaving in 2 more days. I think this park is of interest because it's a regular Thousand Trails park. It's not an encore park. So it's not quite as restrictive with the booking windows and things like that. However, even though you can, well, at least with our elite membership, you can normally stay at a regular Thousand Trails for up to 3 weeks. This park will only allow you to book for a maximum of 2 weeks because it's a very popular park and it's comparatively not huge. So I think they want to get people in and out of here more. Now, this is a super desirable park because of its location. It's a half an hour from Palm Springs. It's actually in Palm Desert. So obviously tons to do around here, and it's very built up, very busy, all kinds of shopping and amenities that are here. Now the drawback of that is that it's very loud here. We are right along I-10, and on the other side of I-10 there's a train track, and the train, I mean, they go by several times a day, and it is so loud that if I am laying in bed, I can feel my rig shake when that train goes by. And I'm sure you can hear the highway noise right now. So it's a very loud park. Even if you're at the back where we tried to get away from the road a little bit, still very loud. So that makes it not quite as pleasant to be outside and going for walks and thus. But as you can see, the weather is gorgeous. It's mid-February. We are out here in t-shirt and shorts, so definitely a desirable place. Now, if you come to Palm Springs Thousand Trails, you're going to have 2 choices. You can pick your own site like regular, but one side of the park is back in 50 amps. So all of the 50 amp sites are back-ins. And there's palm trees at the end of each site. So when we were driving around, we thought these palm trees look kind of close together. And we are not great at doing sharp 90-degree back-ins into sites. We've done it before. It usually takes us a couple of hours to get in there. We're going back and forth and in and out, and we thought, this is probably not worth it trying to get a 50 amp here. So we opted for the other half of the park, which is all pull through 30 amp sites. So it's easier to park because it's pull through, but you only get a 30 amp hookup. We're fine with that, and we've even found that on our 30 amp here, we were able to run both air conditioners, not the microwave too, but it's easy enough to turn off an air conditioner to run the microwave. So we're happy to be at 30 amp sites. We've done that lots. So just a heads up for you, if you're a Thousand Trails member and you're coming through Southern California, this is a good option for you, but there are some drawbacks. Now our next park that we're moving to this week is Wilderness Lakes Thousand Trails. It's about an hour closer to Los Angeles from here. However, when I see it on the Google satellite view, it looks like it's in a much quieter area. It's out kind of in the agricultural section. There's an empty field across from it. It looks a little more spread out, so I'm really looking forward to moving over there. Number one, because I think it'll be much quieter and nicer to walk around, and number two, it's a little closer to Los Angeles, so we're gonna have a lot of fun things to do there. I hope you'll join us next week for that, and until then, have a great week. Bye guys.